Alright, so today's video is going to be a bit of a wrap-up of everything that's happened in Star Wars over the past month or so. I feel like not many people are talking about or even thinking about Star Wars right now, so this video is going to give you everything you need to know that's happened in Star Wars over the past month, and there's details about new Star Wars movies, Ahsoka Season 2, Star Wars video games, cancelled Star Wars movies, and a bunch more, so make sure you stick around to see everything. Before we go on as well, please subscribe if you're new here, and if you're not, it's good to see you. Hey everyone, it's Andrew. Okay, first up, I'm going to start with, I think, what is some of the more disappointing news, and that is, yes, there was another cancelled Star Wars movie that made it to the script phase, but was never completed or never moved beyond that point. And basically, it seems like this was a Kylo Ren movie. Adam Driver had an idea for Kylo Ren's continuation after The Rise of Skywalker, and took that idea to the director Steven Soderbergh, who he'd worked with multiple times, and they developed a script, which Lucasfilm and Disney had a look at and decided not to make.
What?
In the interview released by AP News, Adam Driver said, "I was always interested in doing another Star Wars. I had been talking about doing another one since 2021, Kathleen Kennedy had reached out, and I always said, with a great director and a great story, I'd be there in a second. I love that character and I loved playing him." He then took the concept to Steven Soderbergh for a film that would take place after The Rise of Skywalker, and apparently Adam Driver thought that Kylo Ren's journey and his character arc would evolve differently to how it did in the films. He said apparently it didn't play out in the way he thought it would. He had an arc in mind for Kylo Ren that inverted the journey of Darth Vader. So a story was outlined that they pitched to Kathleen Kennedy, Lucasfilm Vice President Kerry Beck, and Dave Filoni, and they were interested. So they got a script written, which Adam Driver says was one of the coolest scripts I had ever been a part of. They presented this to Lucasfilm, who apparently loved the idea. They totally understood their angle and what they were doing. Get this, they took it to Bob Iger and Alan Bergman, Bob Iger being the CEO of Disney, and they said no. They didn't see how Ben Solo was alive, and that was that. Are you kidding me?
The negotiations were short.
If there was one thing I did personally enjoy about the sequels, it was Adam Driver's performance as Kylo Ren. I think he makes that character. I think it's one of the most interesting parts of those films. Apparently the movie was called The Hunt for Ben Solo. Steven Soderbergh also released a statement about it saying, "I really enjoyed making the movie in my head. I'm just sorry the fans won't get to see it." And Disney and Lucasfilm have declined to comment on the situation. So there you go, guys. There could have been a Kylo Ren movie. Would you have wanted to see a Kylo Ren movie? Instead, I guess they're making the Rey movie. In some ways, though, I feel like this could have been a much darker version of Star Wars had they gone down this route. And I can't really comment on the Rey movie yet, considering it hasn't been made yet and haven't seen it yet. But I don't know. This seemed like a cool idea as well.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
If you've been wondering why there's been no real Star Wars gaming news in a while, it's hopefully because they're working on a bunch of stuff behind the scenes. Last week we got confirmation from the head of Quantic Dream, David Cage, that Star Wars Eclipse is still in development. He said in a statement, "Of course, development of Star Wars Eclipse continues and we're eager to share more with you in the future." This one might not be hugely far away. My estimate is a 2027, 2028 release, which I guess is still kind of a long way away. The trailer, which released almost 5 years ago now, was essentially an advertisement to get game developers to actually go and work at Quantic Dream on this new Star Wars game. It'll be interesting to see what Quantic Dream brings to Star Wars, considering the styles of games they make with multiple different narrative paths. It's good to get confirmation that this one is still in development, because we've barely heard anything about new Star Wars games in a long time, even though we kind of know there are a bunch in development. But yeah, no concrete news just yet, apart from the fact they're still making it.
More well on the way.
So it looks like Ahsoka Season 2 has finished filming. At the moment, I believe it's set to release somewhere in the middle of next year, 2026, but filming being wrapped was recently confirmed by a bunch of the actors. Natasha Louis Bordizzo, who plays Sabine Wren, confirmed on her Instagram, through this image of her standing with what looks like Ahsoka, that filming is now complete. It looks like here she's holding up some kind of lightsaber. Kind of hard to tell from just the shadow, but I think it's pretty obvious that the other shadow is Ahsoka. And then we also had Amarnis Fundy, who played Ezra Bridger, post this epic transition of Ezra from Star Wars Rebels, fading into the actor looking out over a similar balcony. Pretty cool. You can tell how much of a real Star Wars fan or a real Ezra fan he is. And we also got news from Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who plays Hera Syndulla, that her character apparently is going to be a lot more involved in Season 2. She said in a recent interview with Collider, "I'm not sure what I can say other than I'm in this season a bit more. I'm definitely in on the action, as you say, quite a bit more." But she also confirmed that they finished filming and that she can't wait for people to see it. I can't wait for people to see it as well, especially considering considering it's likely going to lead into Dave Filoni's film, which also combines The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka Season 2, and everything to do with Thrawn's army. I'm excited to see how that all comes together, especially considering I feel like we've known about this movie for years and years now, and all of these TV shows are supposed to be leading up to the events of that movie. I really hope it pays off. I really hope they nail it. And I'm also really interested to see how Rory McCann does in the role of Balin Skull, replacing the late Ray Stevenson. Still one of the saddest things to happen in Star Wars recently, but so cool that his character is being played by one of his closest friends.
That's what's bigger than all of us, is the fan base, their investment, and so they deserve it. And what they gave us today was just like, you're just filled with gratitude.
I'm really surprised by this recent Star Wars news. So you guys remember the Clone Wars 2003 Cartoon Network animation? To me, this is some of my favorite Star Wars ever made. It's just such a cool depiction of the Clone Wars in that early 2000s Cartoon Network style animation. It develops Anakin's character more, it develops Asajj Ventress. You see kind of a bit of the behind the scenes of the clones. And at the helm of this series was Genndy Tartakovsky, who some of you might also know as the show creator of Samurai Jack, of Dexter's Lab. Well, apparently he revealed in a recent interview that for Star Wars Visions, which is now getting a third season, which comes out later this year, he never got a call. No one ever asked him if he wanted to come and make more Star Wars, which I find really interesting. He said, "I never got a call, and I'm totally fine with it. I've done my Star Wars vision, but I know George historically looks at it really nicely now." I feel like his contributions were pivotal to Star Wars at the time. Star Wars was so hot in the early 2000s. It was just right after Attack of the Clones had come out. We were waiting for Revenge of Sith for the conclusion of, I guess, Anakin's story. And his Cartoon Network series is what also evolved into the 3D animated Clone Wars series that is more commonly known. It does feel like he'd be the perfect fit to animate another Star Wars Visions style episode, but I guess it's also cool he feels like he doesn't need to. I'm just surprised they never asked him.
How rude!
So I don't know if this is good news or bad news for the Mandalorian movie, but in a recent interview that Sigourney Weaver did at New York Comic Con on the Happy Sad Confused podcast, she said she was only on set for the movie for a few days.
I was only on the set for a few days, but I was surrounded by all kinds of different creatures. I got a drink from someone with very different kind of head than I have.
Don't talk about Pedro Pascal that way. What?
Either this means her involvement in the movie isn't that substantial, or she was only required to be on set for a few days. Jeremy Allen White also recently talked about his role in the movie on Good Morning America. He's playing Rotter the Hutt, Jabba the Hutt's ripped son, absolutely shredded with those biceps. And he explained how he's had multiple sessions voicing the character. He voiced some before they started any filming, then they filmed the movie, and he also said he'll likely have to do some more even from now.
But it's been a fun process. I came in to do the voice. They hadn't filmed the movie yet. Then they made the movie. I came and did more. I'll probably have to do a little bit more. I spoke to Pedro the other day, and I think he was doing some more work in the booth and seeing some more of the film. And I'm very excited. I'm very excited to take my kids to see that one. You know?
I'm really curious if we're going to see Pedro take the helmet off at all in this movie. Surely he will. And also we have some Star Wars Starfighter news coming from Mia Goth, who's playing a role in the new movie starring Ryan Gosling. She said, "It's a completely separate film. It's its own thing with new characters, a great script, and she's being pushed in a way that she's never been pushed before. I like this idea of it being a completely separate film. And I guess this is the first time in Star Wars that we've had this. It's not connected to any other potential Star Wars media or Star Wars continuity. Even Rogue One and Solo are so heavily connected to the original trilogy. You could argue that The Mandalorian is also, considering the time period it takes place in, but Star Wars Starfighter seems like its own thing entirely. So I think that's kind of promising for where this is headed, that they're now comfortable trying to step outside the events of the main saga and not necessarily link everything up.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
What are you most excited to see from all this though, guys? Do you think there's hype for any of these projects? I think Ahsoka Season 2 is probably going to have the most hype, especially if it leads into Dave Filoni movie connecting all of these characters. I'll hopefully have some more videos out later this week, guys. Stick around, keep an eye out for those. Thanks for watching this. Always remember,
Stay bombastic.